Hey Virgo, hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Catherine. Welcome to the newcomers and hello again to all the returning subscribers. Thank you so much for your support. Guys, I offer personal readings. You can find my email address in the about section. Just write me a quick word. We can sort out the details of how I do it, how much, etc. and when we can actually book some time to do that together. So that's out of the way. Now Virgo, we're going to jump right into your monthly reading. This is more of an overarching kind of feel for the month, right? As if we're putting our finger in the wind and figuring out in which direction it's blowing. So let's just start. I am starting with a French oracle card. I will translate, of course. Whatever we got for you. It's wisdom, temperance, and calm. This card's been coming out quite often in other readings that I do, and also for, I believe, at least one of the signs I've already done. So let's keep pulling and see how this develops really. Communication is key. This is a new moon in Gemini. So, I mean, we have Mercury in Virgo, right? So Mercury rules Virgo and also rules Gemini. So this is very auspicious for you, Virgo. It's kind of a kin energy for you. Communication is also one of your strong suits, actually. A lot in writing usually, but not always. It's just you've got this particular attention to details, and you're extremely good with structure, etc. So it's quite fitting for you. So far, so good. Let's just shuffle this tarot deck really well, and I will pull finally the tarot for you and see what really you're balancing out as you communicate. So who are you communicating with? What are you talking about really? Okay, first card out, Magician in the reverse. This is a Mercury card. This is important. There's a lot of Gemini and Mercurial energies here. It's stunning. Except that in this case, you're feeling powerless, and maybe it's due to a lack of communication, or what I would say wrong communication or inadequate communication maybe. But it could even be blocked. Who knows? We're going to get some more cards. Six of Wands in the reverse. You don't feel very successful when it comes to that particular... Maybe it's a particular subject that you're having a hard time discussing. So let's really look at what you're talking about. Because right now it shows if you're successful or not and how you're doing it. And so far it's showing me that you're not communicating. The Wheel of Fortune, it feels like you're waiting for particular timing. You're waiting for things to pick back up, or communication might help pick them up, right? So it's a double-edged sword here, whereas if you don't speak, then things don't get moving, and maybe if you speak, they might not either. You know what I mean? I'm not in your life, so I wouldn't really know. But let's see, there's going to be a turn of events for sure on this. I'm just so curious about what it is that you're addressing. It could it could be, excuse me, something to do with recognition, not being recognized for maybe a particular skill that you possess. That's definitely one avenue. But overall, you want to temper that, right? The first card, the Oracle card about wisdom and temperance, is showing you not to fret over this, and probably not to be overly attached to that. So let's see what else is showing up. The Queen of Cups. So maybe it's communication with this particular person, which would be a water sign. This could be Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, of course. Doesn't have to be, as always. I'm listing a few signs. Sometimes, I don't always do. It's just to give you guidelines, but it's a sensitive person. It would be someone that, you know, that cries when they see a movie, a TV show, a tearjerker, basically. Actually, the tearjerker is the movie, or the TV show, excuse me. I'm not familiar always in English with the right terms. So the person would be easily moved when looking at a tearjerker movie. Another card is flipped, the King of Cups. I can't believe it. We have a couple here, a match made in heaven. The reason communication is so key here is that emotions are flying really, really high between these two people. They have, typically, because they're water signs, again, same signs. This is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. So they both have this innate ability to communicate without words, actually. They could just look in your eyes and kind of guess what you're thinking or feeling at the very least. You know, they would feel you out. They're empaths. They're so intuitive, and they're mostly keen observers. So they would definitely feel you out in every... I was going to say in every sense of the word, but I don't think you want that necessarily. You know, depending. Enough joking. So communication is key here, because maybe sometimes you and this person adopt a more silent approach to, you know, how you operate together. In this case, for some reason, you need to open up about something. It has to do with, I believe, being recognized for something. I think I'm on the nose about that. Either one of you or both of you need change. There's something that you want to move forward together. There's something that you want to partake in together and see happen. And you're craving, I think, results in a way. But they're not showing up. And it could be within the relationship, within the context of your own relationship, maybe just results in communicating more, I guess, profusely, or more often, in a better way, or more profoundly, or I don't know, that belongs to you. But let's pull a bit more. I'm just curious. I want to pull one more card on this couple and see where the wheel is turning, or how it's turning for these two. Okay, I wanted one card, but you get a few. Knight of Cups in the reverse, the King of Swords, and the Seven of Cups in the reverse. So there's a third party here. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be just an energy. But know that in terms of communication, this would be, there's a strong moment, or there's a particular, it's definitely in a moment. It's going to be measured with time. There's going to be a moment when something will be said that changes things. I think it has to do with either another person that you want to address, if there's a third party situation, if that's your case. If not, it's about making things very clear, having a game plan, strategizing, forward-looking, kind of speaking the future, right? What is it that you're actually creating together? You need to actually I was going to say scheme, because you actually need to create this plan. You need to give it a structure, or at least name it, label it, make it known. So there's something about maybe sitting down even together, and I would go as far as putting it on paper. You know, I don't think it has, but it doesn't have to be, but it could. Because I did mention earlier that Virgo would be is really good at writing as well, right? Numbers too, but in this case we're looking at language and communication in terms of ideas, not necessarily numbers. There's great, again, there's clarity about cutting through confusion, right? Making sure that things are crystal clear between the two of you. There might have been a lot of, especially with the water suit, right? This couple is all water, and then the Seven of Cups is like extra water here. So there might have been a moment where you guys were both like swimming, and I'm doing it on purpose to use that verb because you might have been swimming underwater, and you know, when you're underwater you can't speak, or the sounds are different, they're muffled, but they do, noise and sound does travel a lot. Apparently you can hear really well, pretty far actually. It depends, I guess, but water has this quality of, you know, carrying vibrations. So just like air, but it's a different thing. It's more opaque, it's more muffled. It's probably less crystalline than air. So that would have been the case where things would have been like blurry and soft on the edges and without any definition. And I think that's the right, now is precisely the right word to use. There wasn't any definition in terms of high definition for a plan, for like a future. It's really about what it is that you're creating together. So that would have been lacking, and I think you're really looking for a huge change when it comes to even just talking about it. I don't think it was done. You see, the Knight of Cups is in the reverse, so again, that could be the third party as well, right? Instead of this King. And I wouldn't go as far as saying there's 4 people in the equation, but you could read this as one energy for craving and requesting clarity between the two of you. And then if it's a third party situation, maybe there's someone else here that is less involved, but yet on the outskirts. I really don't like to bring it in. It doesn't feel so right here, but it's a possibility, so I am bringing it up. I find that it's a lack of sensitivity, even if this couple is typically extremely good at sharing their feelings with the most diplomacy, actually, with a lot of being very delicate about it. But even with being delicate, I think there would have been a lack somewhere. A lack of true understanding at the feeling level, because I think that there was something that was very that might have been drowned by something else, by a multitude of things that could have been like in the way. It could be, I think it's more things, but within those things there could have been a person, right? There's always that character here. Again, if you're caught up in the triangle, it's possible. But all these things would have been like distracting either one of the Queen or the King, and or both. And you see the way the cards are placed, because one came before the other, they're almost turning their back to one another. So they're super compatible, but there's something about looking in different directions, not being on the same page. but mostly being distracted and attracted by other things that are just like in their sight. So there's a moment where someone wants to really cut through the bullshit, I think, about cutting out other options. Again, if that's the third party, cutting out the other option or the other options, which are anything superfluous, right? That is just not redirecting the energy where it needs to go, i.e. the relationship. And I want to be more precise in communicating together, really about the future. This is really about the future. Your future together. So let me just get a quick card here. You get 2, which I'm going to read for you. Three. Okay, you get psychic healing. This is mugwort. You get jargon sasha, which is transfiguration, and you get completion, comfrey. So transfiguration and completion, right? There's a big change. There's almost like a transmutation, but transfiguration, right? There's something about how you represent yourself. Because when you figure, when a figure is a face, but it's also to figure in a play, for instance, is to be part of. So whatever you're a part of, I feel there's a change. That's the completion. But it's mostly felt as I mean, it's the equivalent of the World card, of course, especially even with the drawing, they kind of emulate that. But, and the other one is like the Tower, right? But it's still, I don't want to read them necessarily through the eyes of tarot. I think psychic healing would really be fitting for these two very, very sensitives, right? So one or both could have had a situation that they needed to complete, from which they need to heal, right? And that is changing, that is making them change, evolve, and transfigure themselves and really recreate themselves. So I don't know if it's one or both. I think it's either or, right? It might have to do with that third party if it's the case, right? We do have 3 court cards because I'm really going to choose to read the King of Swords as an energy here. It's too clear for me that it's needing to remove excess baggage or excess worrying, excess thoughts, excess distractions, whatever that is, or however it shows up in your life. Let's get some more guidance about, I want to pull a card on why you feel you weren't able to communicate prior. I mean, Magician is in the reverse, 6 of Wands is in the reverse. So is it really, besides having a true obstacle in the form of a third party, I'm curious to know what the Magician is, right? Humility. That's an interesting take because we do have the 6 of Wands in the reverse. Okay, these 2 cards would make for someone very, very power greedy, big time. So that's important to note, that humility could be a particular step in someone's psychic healing where by cutting out what is too much or not needed, or by realizing, you know, the things that are to be tempered, to be balanced, and by using some of your wisdom, right, you would become more humble, more approachable, more relatable. Hence, the communication would open up, and then you would see a great change occurring. So that's another possibility. Maybe the page of, maybe the Knight of Cups here is not a third party. Maybe there was really a lack of movement towards one another, right? Maybe either one of these characters, since they're turning their back to one another or being interested in other things beside the relationship, right? They're both attracted by something else on the side. So maybe it's just a lack of coming towards one another, because the knights always come forward. They come to meet you. And they're there to move you as well. They're there to get you going, to have you like step forward. It does speak of a relationship. It speaks of the communication. It speaks of a couple's future. It speaks about their ability to really finally see one another for who they are, and maybe find a workable, I guess, field of understanding, right, between the two. There's definitely something that's happened in the past for one of them or both of them. It could have been within their own relationship or outside of that relationship, but there's definitely someone changing deeply, and the transfiguration is moving from craving power or absolutely wanting power to relinquishing at least the outcome, right? Or just preferring to be humble and let success and let power come if they have to come through something that I love doing, versus, you know, me trying to chase it per se. And in terms of who these people are, usually they're not so power greedy, because they're water signs. They're more feeling based, so they usually are more interested in having a really good understanding and a really good connection. They're not so much interested in things that are outside themselves, but here they are. They're all caught up with, you know, dreams of, you know, riches and like castle in the sand and like, you know, whatever else there that attracts them. So it's interesting that as water signs, their focus would have been in the wrong place, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Anyway, this is a strange one. It's complex. It has many facets because it plays on past and present, and it does have many interpretations possible for the many viewers that you guys are. So please take some, leave some, because it won't necessarily be everybody's story, as always. And if you're new, please subscribe to the channel. And if you guys have liked the video, give me a thumbs up. I'll see you soon.